everyone. We're back with a very special guest today, Jordan Nakash. Jordan is a senior. We met this year because we have a TA class together. It's iconic. But give the listeners a rundown. Who are you? What do you do? Sure. Everything.
Hi everyone, my name is Jordan. I'm a senior, double majoring in Econ and Communication and MCAS, and I'm also a first-year grad student in the Lynch School of Education and Human Development for my Master's in Education in Global Perspectives.
Incredible. Very recently, I went to Rookie Showcase for all the dance groups, and I know you're POT2 president. So if you could speak a little bit to that and everything that POT2 is and all the amazing stuff that you do.
So POT2 stands for Presenting Africa to You. It's BC's only African and African diaspora dance team. I heard about it when Jamaica Magis came to Jamaica January of 2020, I think, and I was asking if there was any Caribbean African dance team, and they said, yeah, there's POT2, and I was obsessed from day one. And they didn't have auditions freshman fall, but they did in the spring, and I was there, and I got on, and so I've been there from freshman year, and so being president was just such a dream come true. And I love our rookies. I love growing the family, and to see all the work they've put in come to fruition on stage on Friday, I was so proud. I didn't like Caribbean style dancing. I started with ballet, and then once I found Caribbean style dancing, I was like, okay, this is more my thing. And then I did that until I was 14, I think, when I tore my ACL at dance. And then recovered, and mom was like, you're not going back to dance until you go to college. I was like, okay. I came, joined POT2, and then second week into the spring semester, sophomore year, tear my other ACL at practice.
Girl, that's crazy.
Recover, and then now I'm back, and I'm dancing again, knock on wood, with both ACLs.
Wow, that's incredible. So something I'm really curious about is just Caribbean culture on campus. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, so there are actually a lot of people with Caribbean culture, Caribbean family who's lived in the Caribbean before on campus. I was surprised. I didn't know what to expect. I know somebody did a takeover on the BC Instagram after I'd gotten in, and I was like, is there a Caribbean club? And they're like, I don't think so. And I was like, what do you mean you don't think so? And then I got here, and there was in fact one, and there were a bunch of people who were in it. I know there's another girl here, my friend Zoe, who we went to the same high school, and then another friend Mackenzie, who we've had a lot of mutual friends over the years. But there are also so many other people who are so involved in the culture, and then I love that there's so many people who are willing to learn about the culture or who love the food. So many people ask me the best Jamaican restaurants around town. I will tell you.
Yeah, can you plug it for our podcast?
What are the Island Style in Dorchester is the best, like the number one, and then right next is Merle's.
Island style, and then what is it? Merle's. And what's your go-to order?
Oxtail, rice and peas, mac and cheese, and then I would prefer raw veg if I was at home, but they don't have raw veg here, so I get steamed veg.
That sounds so good. And do you cook here?
I do.
And do you cook?
I've had a kitchen since sophomore year.
You're kidding.
I'll make jerk chicken mac and cheese. I made oxtail mac and cheese. I made curry chicken and curry shrimp over the summer as well. Oh yeah, I
like
cook
drooling at the mouth. Are you kidding? So way better than what BC dining could do. No tea, no shade to BC dining. Shade. Well, going more into that Caribbean culture, I know you have Middle Eastern parents.
Yes.
I know that because of a mutual friend. I'm not a weird stalker who's like looking into her life, whatever. But yeah, I'm just curious, what's that like being, Middle Eastern, raised in the Caribbean, and then coming to a school like BC? I'm Asian, and coming to a very predominantly white school has always been really interesting. And then how that ties into the arts, kind of, and culturally.
Sure. It was always, interesting. It was great. There's a great Middle Eastern community in Jamaica, and we love to joke that we all came off the same boat. But we're all great. We're convinced we're all related in some way, shape, sort, or form. But it's such a tight-knit community, and I love it. And there's even an Arabic restaurant at home called Chez Maria, and so many people go to Chez Maria, and so it's so good to also see people going there and kind of being involved in my culture. Coming to BC, it was also different in the sense that, so I'm Middle Eastern, obviously always been Middle Eastern, but in Jamaica I'm white, and then I come to BC and everyone's like, oh, so you're a person of color, and I was like, well, I'm Middle Eastern. But in Jamaica, if they said I was white, I was like, well, I'm Middle Eastern. So I've always just kept that I'm Middle Eastern, but it was an interesting change of dynamics because you assume like the roles and everything of, I guess, a white person or the privileges of a white person at home. And then if I come here and be like, well, yeah, I guess as a white person, oh, you're not white. But at the same time, I can't go home and say I'm a person of color. So that, I'd say, is the most interesting thing to have to navigate while I'm here. Because it hasn't changed my perspectives. I just know I'm Middle Eastern, and I understand in each place the privilege that comes along with that. But that, I'd say, was the trickiest thing to navigate between how I present my identity here and at home.
Yeah, wow. Tie into that, I'm curious, what's your experience with Ahana Plus now here at BC?
I'd say I love the Ahana community. I love the tight-knitness of the Ahana community. I think I'm in the plus. I don't know if I'm in the Ahana, but I'm in the plus, and I've just found such a great community there because, I mean, coming from Jamaica, again, there are not too many Middle Eastern people. The majority of people are Black, even though we have, I mean, a plethora of cultures. Our motto is out of many one people. And so coming here, getting involved in that side of my culture, I mean, I'm in Arab Students Association, Armenian Club, Lebanese Club as well, but tapping into like Caribbean Club and Patsu, a lot of my friends are part of the Ahana community on campus. I worked at the BAIC for my first 3 years here, and I was so involved in the Ahana community. And I mean, I still am, but you get to meet so many people, and I think just that tight-knit community, I think Ahana is so much more than an acronym at BC. Like, it means so much more to so many people, and it's like a real sense of comfort for so many people, and I love that. You know?
Yeah, I love that. Real quick, you talked about so many clubs that you're a part of. I'm curious, how do you find yourself in all these clubs? How do you find all your leadership roles on campus? I mean, I remember the first time I heard Jordan Nakash, UGBC Vice President, running for UGBC Vice President. That's crazy. As of what, freshmen?
Yeah.
As a freshman. How does that even happen? A freshman year, I was like lost in CLXF, couldn't find my way to main campus. And UGBC Vice President, tell me about that.
I don't know, man. You know, I think a lot of people took COVID as like a time to step back and, you know, things are online, so there's not as much to do. I took it as things are online, I can do everything. So, you know, now if one club has a meeting at 7, one at 8, one at 9, you can't go from one to the other to the other. I sat in my Cushing Hall dorm room, and if Armenian Club met at 7, I was there, and then UGBC at 8, I was there, and then Caribbean Club had games night at 9, I was there. And it was all from my desk in my Cushing dorm. So I was like, it's all possible. And I wanted to get involved. I was super involved in high school too, so I knew I wanted to keep going with that. And so I just did. And it just ended up continuing to go. But I loved UGBC. I wasn't really involved in student council in high school. But I was involved in a similar thing. I don't know if anybody knows from like Harry Potter or Wild Child where they have head girl.
Of course.
So I was head girl.
You were head girl? Are you kidding me? That's my dream role in Harry Potter.
Like premium snitch. But guys, I promise I was getting my troublemakers still tell me hello at the club. Like I wasn't that bad, guys. I was good eventually. It took some growing into the role. But I was never in anything where I would have run for president or things like that. And then I came and student government just seemed like it was so much fun. And I'm like, well, hey, if I can make change and meet with administrators, why not? And then I started that, and I had met Kevork, and I knew him through Armenian Club as well. And so when he wanted to run, he called me and asked if I wanted to run, and I was like, me?
Wow.
You sure? And then we just decided to run, and so that was great. And then I just stayed through UGBC. I resigned after I tore my ACL going into junior year because that's when I needed to step back from stuff. Sure. And then, that's how it just played out.
Jordan, you're so cool. I'm gonna cry. So before this, I mentioned before that I'm not a stalker, like I'm not like deep diving in your family history, but I did stalk your Instagram.
Yes.
And I found two things. One, Usain Bolt.
Yes.
What? Number two, DJ Khaled. I love DJ Khaled.
He's amazing.
Okay, this was in 2018. I wrote DJ Khaled, 2018.
Yes.
I cracked my phone because I was jamming so hard to Wish Wish. Okay, we'll talk. But first, Usain Bolt. That's crazy. How's that?
So it's great. He's great. I think he's set the standard for me. Can I say this? He is so humble. Like genuinely, it's not even an act. He is so humble, so sweet, and so. I think sometimes athletes' hair can get very boastful. And I'm like, in my mind, if he can be humble, anybody can be humble. You know, so I'm big believer in humility. But he's an incredible guy. I feel like I've known him my whole life. I think since I was 6, maybe. Wow. I've known him, and he's just been a great friend. And it was funny because I came here and I just didn't... Jamaicans find out, you know, famous people. Like, we'll fangirl, but we're also not like... Oh my gosh! So I was used to my Jamaican friends being calm about it, and then it would come up, or I would bring it up nonchalantly to my friends here, and they're like, wait, what?
Me.
And I was like,
that's me.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's cool. And I remember one day freshman year, there were a bunch of kids on my hall, and it must have been about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and they had just found out, and they're coming up, and they're like, oh my gosh, can you call him? And I was like, no, it doesn't. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, no. And then I was filming this video, and they're going on, and they're like, oh my gosh. And somebody goes, oh, I think they did a paper boat race. And he was like, oh, we named our boat Usain Boat. And all kinds of stuff. And I'm videoing. And I was like, I never wanted to feel like I was using him or something. So I was like, hey, they're watching me send you, like, feel free to just ignore this, don't watch it, nothing like that. And then I woke up the next morning to a video, and he's like, I made you popular. I was like, you did. Or there were these 2 football players that I had met freshman year, the very first football players that I wasn't in class with, we just met, and it came up, and they found out I was from Jamaica, and he was like, oh, so you know Usain Bolt? And I was like, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And you're cooler than Usain Bolt. I'm kidding. I'll love Usain Bolt. He's cool just as shit.
Oh my gosh, you're capping. She's capping, bro. And they were going off. And he had posted for my birthday that year. So I was like, you know what? Pull it up on his Instagram. He posted me. And they looked it up, and they're like, she's not capping, bro. And then ever since then, that has just been like the base. That is what formed our friendship, was that after that moment. And so now that we're all seniors, the other day after it was a parents' weekend game, I gave them both shirts from him signed. And it was like, to person 1, person 2, she wasn't capping, bro. And he signed it, and I gave them those shirts.
I'm screaming.
It's a full circle moment.
Oh, okay, real quick, DJ Khaled.
Yes, so that one was way more random. We had known he was going to be in town, but did not know if we were going to see him or run into him. And I was actually at a friend's birthday dinner. It was kind of like I guess like a restaurant complex almost. I don't even know what to call it. There were a bunch of different restaurants in this one place. And we were at a different restaurant. But then we heard he was in this other restaurant. And a bunch of people had started leaving to go and stand outside the tables or like outside the restaurant to see if they could go. And I texted my family chat and I was like, Mom, he's here. And she was like, what? And I don't know who she called or what went around. Next thing I know, she's like, just come. And then we end up going, and my mom, dad, and brother just show up. And we go upstairs, and it was him, I think, Rajin King and Bounty Killer, who are 2 other Jamaican singers. And we just went up there, and we're just like, hey, and we took pictures. And I was like, we're cousins practically. And Mom was like, if you want Middle Eastern food, just come over. And it was just the best. He was so sweet.
So he's kind of an icon now with the bring out the whole ocean, let's go golfing, all that. Did he do that when you were with him?
You know, not when we were with him.
Sure.
I think he waited until after.
Yeah. Love that. Going back to football.
Yes.
You were Jeff Halfley.
Yes, I'm BC football's #1 fan, guys. I know both verses of the fight song. I go into the stadium an hour and a half before kickoff, which is as early as you can go in. That's when gates open. I sit in the same seat. I've sat in the same seat for every game except for one since sophomore year when we were allowed in the stadium. It's section E, row 4, seat 41.
Don't take it though.
Don't take it. I will fight for my seat.
Don't take it.
It's the end of the student section, not by the end zone, on the 37-yard line, right behind the bench, and it's right on the edge. So literally the last seat in the student section, and I sit there for every single game, and I don't leave until they walk off after the alma mater.
Wow.
I lose my voice every single weekend. I'm actually going to Syracuse tomorrow.
Are you really?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And then coming back on the 5:30 flight to be back for SAP.
You're kidding.
Special Saturday.
You're kidding. SAP Special Saturday. Gotta be there. My roommate's on the SAP council with Jordan, and I always hear about Special Saturday.
I love BC football. I learned football watching BC football play. Because
Really?
we don't play American football. Like, if I go home, football is soccer.
Wow.
This is American football, and I watched every single game freshman year, except for the Syracuse game, because I remember the NESN stream was just strange that day. So now it's full circle that I'm going to Syracuse. And I've gone to one away game each year. So I went to Clemson sophomore year and Notre Dame last year.
You went to Notre Dame? Oh my god.
Because my mom went to Notre Dame, so I had to. That was a tough loss. That was a tough one. But I am obsessed. Big fan of the program. I'm not gonna fangirl if I meet a football player, but the program, I was Jeff Halfley for Halloween.
Yeah, I love that. Does he know you were Jeff? You were him?
Maybe now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I might wear it to the last game. We'll see.
Please.
That
was iconic.
I may go as Jeff Halfley.
Iconic. Well, before we close out, a question I like to ask all my guests is, what needs to be talked about on campus regarding arts? What do you think is important? What can BC work on, or what do we just need to know about? Right.
I just think the support. I think there's so many events that happen that people just don't know about. I mean, even some of my roommates or friends I'd meet. I remember it was showdown morning sophomore year, and I had seen a few of my friends in lower, and I was like, oh hey, they were like, what's going on, is there some event today? And I was like, oh, yeah, this is my dance team, they're showdown today. And they're like, what's showdown? I was like, you don't know showdown? and I'm explaining Showdown, and it's like, for something as big as that, for people to not know about it, there's so many smaller events that happen. Like Axis is next week, the Southeast Asian Students Association puts on. Most people, I think, come to Rookie Showcase. There are about 1,000 there.
Yeah.
Big show. We have Patu show either in the spring or the fall of each year, and so many other dance teams. The Heightsmen, I know, always have their concerts, and then the comedy groups. So I think there's so many beautiful forms of art. I have a friend that has a gallery up in Kearney 203 right now. Man on the Street, Patrick Mills.
And Patrick Mills, he was our last guest.
Oh, I love Patrick. But there are just so many things that I think people don't know about on campus.
Yeah.
So I think just getting out of your shell and going to that one event or that one pop-up,
Yeah.
I think that would be great to see.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course,
Well,
thank you for having me.
you're a star. And thank you, everyone, for listening in again to State of the Arts.